Welcome to the Kill Count Parody. It's a day we have with the victims in all our favorite analog horror series. I'm your host Mario, and welcome to Season 2. Today we're checking out Woodlands National Park, released in 2022 and finished last year in April. Woodlands National Park is an analog horror series, which I already said, and it is posted on the channel Buddy Films, which makes, well, films. Buddy Films is ran by two guys named Noah Berg and Ryan Johnson, and they made their first production all the way back in 2014, but I can't seem to find it at all on their channel, so it might be deleted. Now, Noah is both the CEO and founder of Buddy Films, while Ryan is the CEO's partner, aka Noah's partner.
I didn't mean that in a gay way, by the way, just so we're clear.
Also, Buddy Films recently just released a teaser for Woodlands National Park Season 2, and I am excited because Woodlands National Park is my favorite analog horror series. Oh, and also, if you don't know what an analog horror series is, I'm not going to sit here and explain to you. It's 2025, we should all know what this is by now. And if you don't, go watch, just search up any YouTube video, you can probably find a good one. Just search it up. With all that being said, let's get to the kills.
Series begins with a title card, a good way to start off 2025, and has a nice jingle to it too. You just gotta love that sound. We then get to meet our two park rangers, Park Ranger Steve and Park Ranger Alex, welcoming us to Woodlands National Park, but the camera cuts to black. We then see some text that appears that pretty much just describes the history of how the park was founded. We cut back with Steve and Alex, and Steve explained that there's informational videos at the visitor centers. Videos include information about the park and the history of the park.
And crazy animals that will give you nightmares.
What was that?
Anyways, after seeing that, we see this tree in the dark with text saying he's standing right there. And right before the camera cuts to black, we see this lovely image, which might be one of the monsters, I'm assuming. We cut to black after seeing the creature and get back with Steve and Alex, and Steve's pretty much explaining how to get the videos to work, as well as what topics they cover.
These videos cover topics such as walkers, weather, trail locations, visitors locations, national park history, and more.
Steve and Alex thanks everyone for watching this tape, and if they have any questions, they should ask a park ranger. And they welcome us to Woodlands National Park. Next tape begins with Steve walking in the woods. He welcomes us to Woodlands National Park again, and today we're going to be talking about wendigo. Then the camera cuts to black, and hold up.
Go back, replay it again, just slow it down a little bit.
Okay, wait for it. There! I knew I saw something.
Well, you may be wondering what this creature is, and I don't really know either, but since the topic of the video is wendigos, I'm assuming that's a wendigo. Very, very interesting.
Steve then explains to us what a wendigo is. It pretty much was an urban legend, but it was later proven to be real due to a mishap. We cut to this hand on the ground, holy shit. This is a bloody first kill, I guess. Steve goes on to explain if we want to learn more about the wendigos, we gotta go to one of the visitor centers to get more info. He then mentions one of the things you should never do when encountering a wendigo is to run. They love it when you run. The camera then cuts away again, and we see someone or something running in the woods before going to black. Steve then goes on to explain why you should never run from these wendigos.
A wendigo can run up to 45 miles per hour, and this is...
Are you just gonna keep cutting away? Like, let the man talk!
Well, since Steve's not gonna explain it, I guess I have to. Pretty much the text states the history of the wendigo, what the wendigo is, how fast those fuckers can run, and how to successfully kill it.
Okay, I already talked about these wendigos, so Steve, it's your turn.
The best course of action is to slowly back away. Make sure you watch your footing so you don't step on any loose debris. Once you've reached a safe distance, please speed up and reach one of your local visitor centers or one of your local officers. From then, please let them know the location and time of your sighting so we can close the area off and prevent any further casualties.
After Steve talks about the wendigos, he points out that there's some rustling in the bushes, and points it to the cameraman named John. Apparently, it's a wendigo. He even tells John, we gotta get the hell out of here, and they start running.
Wait, hold on. You're running from the Wendigo, even though you straight up literally just said not to run from them. And you both ran away. What? You told us not to run away. God damn it, you guys are gonna die now.
Well, actually, only one of these people are dying today, and that one being, well, surprisingly, John, as we hear him scream and then fall to the floor. And we get to see Mr. Wendigo appear. That's something, I guess. I don't know how to feel about that. So I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that Mr. Wendigo, like, ate John or something, or at least took him apart, like that one unknown person.
The next video begins with Park Ranger Alex this time talking to us, and he has a couple announcements to make. With the first announcement being that Dead Man's Trail is going to be closed for a little while due to that incident that happened with John and the Wendigo. The next announcement is the visitor center on the south side is finally being open. Great, and has a lot of family fun activities. The next announcement is about walkers, because, you know, they've been walking around the park. Get it? Alex then goes to explain what the walkers are at Woodlands National Park, and, well, is the camera gonna cut away again, like usually? No? Well, I guess this camera's not cutting away like it does for Steve every 5 seconds. I guess I'll let Alex explain it.
Walkers are, by all accounts, unique to the park in that they are never found anywhere else in the world. Walkers, until recently, were believed to be completely invisible and possibly spectral. But, due to thermal technology, we have been able to visualize walkers and now are able to report on how they actually look. Walkers are, for all intents and purposes, completely invisible to the naked eye, as their skin is such a dark black color it absorbs all spectrums of visible light.
Oh, well, I guess the camera does cut away for Alex, but only sometimes, I guess? We cut back to that tree in text that stays the same from episode 1. Well, Alex is back, so I'm just gonna pass it back on to him.
They can only be seen via thermal technology. And with this, we've been able to conclude they are anywhere between 12 to 45 feet tall, with long legs and short torsos.
Oh. Well, I guess I gotta explain some more because this freaking camera keeps cutting away. We then see some text which describes these walkers. Now, the first 2 paragraphs are pretty much what Alex already said, but the last one's interesting.
As it says, the walkers can hack radios and other stuff.
Back with Alex, he explains that even though there's walkers in the park, you can still have fun at Woodlands National Park. However, to not get attacked by these walkers or wendigos or whatever's lurking at Woodlands National Park, there's some advice you need to follow. The first piece of advice is not to leave your designated camping area, as it's very protective from the walkers and whatever's lurking at Woodlands National Park. The second piece of advice is no matter what, do not let your campfire die out, as that means that you have no defense. And the third and final piece of advice is that if you have like a radio or walkie-talkie and you hear static, say the words Ranger Ranger. And if you don't hear a ranger respond that works at Woodlands National Park, well then that means it's a walker that's somehow hacked the system. Wonder how they did that, because even the people at Woodlands National Park don't even know how the walkers were able to do this. Like, goddamn, how powerful are these creatures? Oh, okay, the camera's cutting. And it looks like we cut to a campfire. Ooh, I wonder if we're gonna roast like marshmallows or tell spooky ghost stories. Ooh, this is gonna be fun, isn't it? Oh wait, don't go away, god damn it. Well, back to Alex, he pretty much thanks us for watching the tape and welcomes us to Woodlands National Park.
The next tape begins with our good old-fashioned title card. Oh, okay, now you're just gonna cut me off. And what is this? The DYRER Corporation? What? What the? A warning?
Man, skip this shit.
Okay, all jokes aside, the warning pretty much tells us if we're viewing this, we're not supposed to be seeing this, so yeah. Text then pops up saying on June 3rd, 1975, I still do not know how to say that word. Anyways, the DYIER Corporation, which I'm just going to call the corporation from now on, received a call from Woodlands National Park about the death of John, and it was revealed that the death was caused by a wendigo. Also, apparently the corporation's military group had to deal with John's body. We cut to this map and we zoom in, and we can notice that the site of John's body was very close to that first body that we counted. Oh, also there's some text that explains Mr. Wendigo had to cross a little creek to get to John. Apparently, I don't know why it's there. Our camera then cuts to 4 soldiers walking in the woods, most likely towards John's body if I had to take a guess. And trust me, they do a whole lot of walking. It's just like in a violent nature. Phew, glad that's over. That walking made me tired. But hey, I was the only one that's tired, because apparently at the halfway point, the soldiers set up a camping area so they can rest. However, their camping area was pretty close to Dead Man's Trail, a total of...
Please tell me that is a 3 and not a 9.
We cut to... Oh god, more walking. God damn it. Okay, just speed this up. One of the soldiers starts pointing to everyone individually and telling them to go to certain areas. Now, while we're here, we do see this tent covered in blood, but I'm not going to count it as a kill yet. Remember, key word is yet. After the soldier looked in the tent for longer than he probably should have, we see that there's a lot of trees covered in blood. And there's also even another bloody tent. The soldiers all hear a loud growl coming in force, and they get in position to shoot. The camera then cuts away, and we see text that tells us that the team held their position until nightfall. The soldiers all start walking around in the dark woods, and one of them hears a noise from the monster, and goes to investigate it. After that soldier went into the dark, one of the other soldiers asks if he's in the clear.
Are you clear?
I think we're clear. Wait. Contact us!
And by the way, that soldier that went to investigate is most likely a dead man. The reason I say that is because, well, we don't hear from him again. So I'm gonna add him to our count.
You, stay here! You, with me! Go!
So pretty much after those two soldiers left and abandoned the cameraman soldier pretty much hears a noise and decides to go hide. And well, for a soldier who is hiding, he's not doing very good at it. He's not only breathing and freaking out, but also he has his flashlight on. Like, what? And well, things don't end up too good for the soldier. Two of the soldiers start running off away from the Wendigo. One of them stays behind to kill the Wendigo. But we hear the soldier screaming, indicating that he is dead. After the soldiers walk around a little bit more in the woods, the camera then cuts away. The tape ends with cutting to the DYIER Corporation title. The next video begins with how the second one ended, with John being killed by the Wendigo. We cut to this Mandela catalog looking ass call, and it's pretty much Steve freaking out about the Wendigo eating John and telling Alex to send park rangers to the location. Steve keeps on freaking out, but Alex just tells him to keep on running.
Okay, let me get this straight. You are still running away from the Wendigo, which was the thing that you told us not to run away from.
Do you want to die, Steve? God damn it.
After more of Steve freaking out and running, he eventually finds the park rangers that Alex sent. He shouts to the park rangers so they can fire their bullets at the Wendigo to scare it off, and they successfully do it. We cut with Steve and Alex, and well, they sound kind of depressed. That's because they're talking about the death of John, and the memorial that happened. And they thank everyone for coming to the memorial, mostly the park rangers that worked here. They also thank John for being their cameraman for 20 years, god damn! I'm honestly surprised he didn't die sooner. I wonder if there's a reason for that. Steve is very depressed about the death of John, as he was a good buddy, I guess, and takes off his hat and just kind of turns around. Alex notices this and decides to comfort Steve.
I don't want to do this right now. I'm tired. I'm depressed. I'm miserable. I'm exhausted. It's been one thing after another. I just don't want to do this right now. I just want a break. I want a break too, man, but we got to get this video out. You got the memo just as well as I did. The death quota is already too high. We're not even halfway through the year yet. And if they found out our wildlife photographer got killed by one of these things, oh my gosh, they'd have a field day with us. They'd shut the park down is what would happen. I know.
Steve's walkie-talkie then goes off. He answers it, and it's one of the park rangers telling him that John's wife is at one of the ranger centers, asking a whole lot of questions.
We gotta go. We gotta go. Shut the camera off. Shut the camera off.
We cut to a conversation between John's wife and a random park ranger, I think, and the park ranger is pretty much telling John's wife, says just sign the papers and take the money. But John's wife declines, as she wants to know what happened to her husband. The park ranger just tells her to not say anything about what happened, but John's wife declines that as well, asking what is there to hide. Also, apparently John told his wife what really lurks around at Woodlands National Park.
You know, he told me what happens here. What really happens here. I know he didn't die from a bear attack. He was a wildlife cameraman for over 20 years. He was way too experienced for that.
Clearly not smart enough to know that you shouldn't run away from the Wendigo after just being explained that.
I think one of those things, one of those monsters got him.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He told me about how the park lies to the public by downplaying how dangerous the monsters really are. He told me about how the park covers up how many people actually die as a way to keep this whole operation afloat.
I strongly recommend that you stop talking. For your own good.
Nancy, stop talking right now. And you, get the hell out.
I was just...
I don't care. I said get the hell out, right now. And don't say a word of this to anyone, or have you working as a public defender the rest of your measly career.
Damn, Steve.
John's wife tries getting some answers out of Steve, but Steve just kinda tells her to sign the paper. She wonders why, and Steve tells her that someone might be listening.
Please, Nancy, you can't be talking about this right now. I don't know who's listening.
Who is listening?
Shh! Read. Don't speak.
Oh God, really? They wouldn't. John worked for them for so long. Why me?
Nancy, listen to me. You haven't said too much yet. If you sign the agreement now, you can walk away from this. I'm sorry what happened to John, but that's over and done with now. These people. I've seen what they'll do. The people who know too much. You need to do this, Nancy. Do it for the kids. They already lost their dad. They're gonna need their mom now.
Okay. I'll sign it.
Now the lawyer's gonna write you a check. Take the money and go to the bank immediately and cash it out. Get the kids and get as far away from here as you possibly can. And don't you ever say a word about what he told you or what happened here today. Do you understand me?
Yes, I understand.
If you need anything, Nancy, you call me.
The tape ends with us fading to black. The next tape begins with Steve getting ready to tell us about a creature that can only be found in Woodlands National Park. Right before the camera goes to Alex doing something.
I'm out here panning for gold, just like the miners in the 1850s used to do in this natural river. What they would actually do is take shelter in these natural forming caves, but little did they know that there were hellish creatures awaiting deep inside those caverns.
Steve then explains what the creatures are. They're called cave critters. A cave critter is pretty much a tall gray human that is normally anywhere from 10 to 12 feet. Also, the cave critters have superhuman strength. Oh, and one last thing. The cave critters don't really like to leave the cave very often.
Go, now.
Go, go, go.
We see this picture of what's most likely the cave critters, and it says that it was taken by John. Alex just appears and he explains to us that the cave critters don't reproduce like other animals. What they can do is they can give you a virus if they bite you. And the virus is known as the 45-45-10 rule. Why is it called that? Well,
You have a 45% chance of dying from the disease, a 45% chance of turning completely into a cave critter, and a 10% chance of having absolutely no side effects. We don't fully understand how this works.
Steve then comes out the woods to explain to us if we get bit by one of these cave critters, in the first 2 weeks you'll experience side effects such as rabies, and maybe even your skin tone changing. As well as getting a Hulk-like strength, and wanting to return to the cave. Looks like the camera's coming away on Steve again to the DYIER Corporation again. Our corporation again. We cut to a park ranger as well as 3 other people, with one guy freaking out because he was most likely bit by one of the cave critters. The park ranger then decides to run off to grab a shotgun to shoot the guy that got infected. Not once, but twice. Damn. We then get to learn a little bit more about cave critters. Well, actually, I lied. We don't get to learn too much, as the first 3 paragraphs are stuff that's already been explained. The bottom's the only real interesting part, as well, they can't find the origin of these cave critters. Also, at the top, you used the wrong type of miner. and Alex decides to show up once again to explain more about the cave critters.
Be drawn back to the cave is due to intense pheromones given off by the larger group of cave critters. Once the victim has reached the cave, it will be ushered in and protected by the larger group of cave critters until the full transformation, it takes around 6 months, will be fully completed.
We cut to Alex and Steve, and Alex is telling us how to stay safe from these cave critters. Steve then goes to explain, well, they put caution tape around the cave. Alex then explains if you do see someone that looks like they have rabies and they're going to the cave, do not try to stop them, as it's just going to end up making things worse. What you should do is go to one of the visitor centers or contact any park ranger that's nearby. The two boys then thank us for watching, and they hope that we have a good time at
Woodlands National Park.
The next video begins with a DYIER Corporation title card. We see text that says on October 7, 1975, some guy named Todd Henderson got bit by a cave critter, and he didn't know how serious the injury was, and when he went back to New York, he felt completely fine. And pretty much in the first week, he started the cave critter disease first phase. We cut to a call between Steve and some guy named James, and James is apparently about to tell Steve some controversial information. After a little hold, James asks Steve if a guy named Todd Harrison was in the park last week. Steve goes to search it up real quick, and by real quick I mean it takes him 10 hours to do it.
Well, according to our records, this Todd Harrison guy bought a day pass for Tuesday the 7th. Why, is there something going on? Yes. Recently, he visited one of our local Diretech medical centers and was exhibiting early stages of cave critter disease. The physician there was unsure of the symptoms he was exhibiting, so they sent Todd's blood work to the lab. Upon further examination of his blood samples, I've concluded that he is already in stage 1 of cave critter disease. What? How in the hell? How did he get past our ranger centers undetected? The bite appears on his right forearm, which could easily have been covered with a long-sleeve shirt or jacket. Damn it! Please tell me you have this man's location. Yeah, we have his address. Send in a team! Don't worry, we're already on it. Okay, good. Keep me updated on the situation. I have to notify some people and they're not going to be happy.
Apparently the day of the call between James and Steve was 5 days ago when Todd's blood got sent out to the lab. When the team arrived at Todd's house, they concluded that Todd was living in the closet in his basement. They also found towels over all windows, blocking any sort of light. Bro was a Twitch streamer. Also, a cameraman was sent into the house to record everything. We see the cameraman walking around the house, and nothing looks too interesting. I mean, it's pretty much what it was described, with the towels over the windows, blocking the light. But it's when we get into the kitchen it gets interesting, as the sink is covered in blood. And this text states that the blood in the sink is a side effect. And hey, remember that guy that got shot last video? Yeah, that was Todd. And we also get to see a better look at his body, which is kind of disturbing. Fast forward 6 months later, apparently 2 security guards heard strange noises from an abandoned hospital. They went to investigate and were attacked by a gray creature, and the creature had 6 limbs, and odds are this is Todd. Oh, apparently also a team of soldiers was called to deal with it. Now the 10 men did arrive at the place, however, only 3 of the men survived, with 2 of the men getting infected. And heck, the cameraman got killed, and the camera got destroyed, but they did manage to get a couple of frames. Also, the 2 infected soldiers were taken to be studied, and the cave critter body was removed. The tape ends just the way it started. The next video begins with Steve getting ready to tell us why we should stay at our designated camping site. As he's about to explain it, his walkie-talkie comes on, and apparently it's Alex, and Steve wonders why Alex is talking to him.
I'm down at Ranger Station 4. I got a camper who just came up here covered in blood, and he said he and his 3 friends were attacked by what sounds like a walker. This happened last night, but he just made it up here. He's covered in blood. You need to get down here ASAP. Alright, I'm on the way, Alright, we gotta go!
Steve finds Alex, and Alex pretty much explains to Steve how they're gonna block off the area, because it's unsafe. After a bit of walking, Steve hears something and finds it kind of interesting. He asks if Alex hears it, and Alex apparently hears it too, so they go to investigate it. And apparently the noise is from a radio, which wouldn't be too important, but remember, walkers can hack those things. Steve points out how there's not really any tents nearby. Alex then explains that the guy that was covered in blood hid in one of the tents and the walker threw it 30 feet in the air, and apparently that's how the guy snapped his leg. Alex then points something out, and Alex and Steve both run over to it to see what it is. We get to see what the boys were checking out, and apparently it's a bunch of human remains on the ground. My god. But hey, that arm or leg or whatever is the least of their problems, as they find a much worse bloody mess, and there's stuff even in the trees. A little bit more looking around, apparently Alex manages to find the tent in the tree.
Holy shit.
After just kind of looking at the tent in the tree, they find a camera, so they go to investigate it. The video is pretty much three boys walking to their camping area that's a mile away. This kid in the blue hat's name is Mark, and he says that they should not go to the camping area, as it's probably very crowded. And the kid in the beanie, named Dallas, agrees. But their final friend, being the cameraman, does not agree with them. But they manage to convince him to go somewhere else, and he agrees. After some walking, they finally find out a place where they can put their camping area. They start a fire and have a little radio to play some tunes. The boys have a little conversation about stuff, but then the radio starts getting all staticky. They wonder why, and they kind of assume that they're in the middle of the woods, so that's probably why. Mark also throws in that it's a pretty old radio, but also thinks it should not be functioning like a piece of junk. He tries fixing it by turning it off or something, but the radio just starts getting louder. The boys get confused, thinking Mark might have broke the radio, and then they hear a loud noise.
What was that? Yo, hell, we don't have earthquakes in Washington, do we? Is that a bear? I mean, whatever it is, it's massive.
Dallas decides to go check it out. Fucking dumbass. What was I saying? Mark and the camera guy get confused on what he's doing, and they try calling out for him.
We gotta go, man. Why is Dallas doing that? I don't know. Hey, what do you see? I'm coming! Dallas! Dallas! Dallas!
And assuming with how the flashlight gets moved around a little bit, I'm assuming that Dallas got picked up by the walker. His friends start running towards him because, maybe he's not dead, right? He could be alive. Oh. Alright, he dead, bro. Mark and the other kid decide that they gotta go get the park rangers, because, their friend just fucking died. They start running around and grabbing a flashlight so they can see properly. But even with their flashlights, they still can't see the walker. However, they can hear it. Also, this is the part where Mark dies, as when the camera guy tries to call out for Mark, Mark has no response. So I think it's safe to say that Mark is dead. Our camera guy then looks at the bloody mess of Mark's dead remains, and then I guess hears the walker or something. I don't know, he just starts kind of running to hide away from the walker, most likely. But hey, just because he's a cameraman, that isn't the only thing he has on him, because he has a firearm, and he tries shooting the walker, but it doesn't work, so he just retreats, and goes to hide in one of the tents from the walker. After sitting in the tent for a little bit, he gets picked up and then thrown. Our camera guy managed to land in a tree, so he is somewhat safe, I guess you can say. And, well, our tape just ends with the camera guy sitting in the tree. Alright, we have one last tape down, one last one to go. Let's wrap this up. The final tape begins with when we saw Alex and Steve looking at the camera in the tent. We cut to Alex and Steve's shocked reaction of what they saw on the camera, and they realize they have to get rid of this thing immediately. Steve's walkie-talkie then goes off, because apparently the Rangers have finally showed up. And they all start getting ready to get rid of all this bloody mess. Steve's walkie-talkie goes off, and apparently there's a big body that they're going to need to carry. Steve then shows up at the body, and they realize that they're going to need a body bag, most likely, to carry this body.
This is Sector 4, this is Alex. We need a body bag on standby.
They get their body bag and put the body in the bag, obviously, and they get ready to burn all this stuff. They burn the stuff, and then they kind of just leave, I guess. We cut to Alex using a shovel to bury, I guess, the bodies, while Steve's talkie goes off, and apparently there's an incident at one of the places. Steve and Alex get there immediately, and we see this park ranger named Rick fighting the cameraman, because the cameraman has a gun and shoots Rick down. After Steve fights the camera guy for the gun, he gets shot in his arm, but Alex comes back shooting the camera guy with a shotgun. Alex then grabs some items to try to heal Steve. We cut to 18 Washington News at 5, and we see Steve and Alex going on the show, with the crowd cheering. They take a seat, and the lady pretty much asks them about the incident of the shooting. Now, this scene goes on for way too long, so they say Mr. Camera Guy was pretty much the one who cut up his friends and then went insane. That's pretty much what they lay down. They also do say that they've had stuff like this happen before, with people walking off trails, but nothing like this. After the show was over, we cut to a call between Alex and Steve. They saying that they can't go on with this. They have to lie every time there's like a murder or something that goes missing. And if they leak any of the information, then they'll be killed most likely. Steve then says that this is going to be their life until retirement, but Alex doesn't even think they're going to make it to retirement. Steve then has one last thing to say. However, he can't say it over the phone because someone might be listening. So he tells Alex to meet him at the spot. Cut with Alex walking by himself in the dark until he finds Steve and sits down next to him. Alex then asks what was this thing that Steve couldn't say over the phone. Steve kind of wishes he would have told Alex this sooner. Apparently, John's wife gave Steve a bunch of pictures that were locked in a box. Steve doesn't know exactly what they mean, but he thinks he figured it out. The first picture has a tree and a bunch of people, like, kind of worshipping it, and as well as a code, but they don't know what the code means. They also don't really know what's going on in the picture, but they think it's something like bringing someone back from the dead.
Well, it's not uncommon. Primitive people were superstitious in nature.
Well, I thought that too. I thought, that's not real. And then, you look at the other two images and then it makes you second guess it.
The second picture shows some people interacting with the cave critters. However, Alex notices something that the cave critter doesn't seem like it's harming anyone. Steve also points out how it looks like they're kind of trading with the cave critter.
They could be trading. Very odd. But that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But the next one really doesn't.
The third and final picture shows a walker in the day. Alex finds this kind of weird as, well, walkers can't appear during day or they burn up, and this walker is not burning up.
Yeah. How did they see it?
How is it not on fire? The only way they could have seen it
Was in the day.
Was during the day. And the last time we saw one during the day, it burned up within minutes of the sun coming up.
Exactly.
Steve then says that the walkers might have been friendly at one point, actually. Alex also points out the fact that the walkers are carrying stuff, and it looks like it's helping. Steve then says at one point, the creatures were not actually evil or anything. Killing. They were actually helpful.
And they're building stuff. That means they're intelligent. And call me crazy, but those blocks look like pyramids to me.
Okay, this is a lot to process. But what does it have to do with the tree?
Well, at first, you see that image, like people coming back from the dead. That's impossible. But what leads me to believe that it is real is because these are real. These are real. We know they're real. So what leads me to believe that that's not? And we just don't know about it yet.
I guess we've seen crazier things. It's not that big of a stretch, I guess.
Well, think about it. We cover up all these deaths, right? And it can't be for the money. They've got all the money in the world. And they say money can't buy time? Well, what if it could? Now that right there, that is something you would kill for.
Okay. All right, so the theory is that there's a tree which holds the key to immortality. And this tree is in the park. And the reason that the park stays open is to protect it.
I think so. If you think about it. In the early 1900s, right, it became a national park. Now, during the early 1900s, what was happening? Infrastructure. Everyone was building everything. If it wasn't for this national park, this would be a neighborhood.
True.
I wouldn't land on a national park destroyed if it kept me alive forever.
National parks are the highest class of protected land.
So protected, not even the government can destroy it.
These are, dangerous ideas.
So dangerous that I couldn't call you about it. I mean, how do I explain that to you?
Alex then wonders what is the plan to do with all this information. Steve just kind of says, well, we just kind of hold it secret, don't really talk about it, and we'll find more information later. He also mentions that he feels like he's getting closer to breaking the code. We then get a better look at all the photos that we saw earlier. The series ends. Whoa, what was that?
Okay, guys. Looks like we have one last video to go through. Whew. Let's finally wrap this up.
The true final video begins with some glitches. And we see a paper that has family records on it, which I can't really read too much of. It just looks like a bunch of numbers. The series ends with us staring at this black glitchy screen with so many questions still left unanswered that will probably get answered in season 2.
Did our very first analog horror kill count get us a lot of kills? Let's find out and get to the number. I counted 9 kills in Woodlands National Park, the victims being all male and returns giving us a blueberry pie chart. With a total of 10 episodes, counting the QR code one, that gave us a kill on average every 1.11 videos.
Flaming Firefighter for the coolest kill will go to Dallas. It wasn't the most on-screen death, however that aftermath with the hand is pretty bloody and I gotta love it. Rotten Mushroom for the lamest kill is gonna go to the second soldier I counted. As I mean, come on, it was the most off-screen death.
And for any analog horror kill counts, I'll be giving out a new award. Spook Troop Boo for the best scare in the series is gonna go when that guy was in the tent and got thrown up in the tree. It was a good scare and you got the screaming there. I'll 10 out of 10, honestly. And that's it. Woodlands National Park started in 2022 and finished last year in 2024. Next kill count will be Flam Wants to Die, that most likely coming on my birthday, being January 31st, so at the end of this month. I am super happy I got the kill count done. Oh my god, this kill count was stressful as hell. I can explain it in another video later, but yeah. Until next time, I'm your host Mario. This has been the Kill Count Parody.